Hi guys. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about stigmas today. Stigmas are what gets us, guys. Like, that's why we can't reach out to people. Not only is it for somebody like me, like whenever you're sitting there being like, oh, I'm gonna go cut myself now because you upset me. Not only is that hurtful to me, but like you don't realize the kind of stigma you're creating for yourself either. Like, when I used to cut, it was the only thing that could calm me down. It was the only thing that could make me breathe normally again. And it was the only thing that I had that made me feel better. So when you're telling somebody that their choice of coping isn't good enough for your standards, what kind of a message did that send? A lot of teenagers cut, guys. A lot of them does. What if one of them ends up being your little sister? I was a little sister, and I had to watch my big sister try and deal with it, and she did a really good job, but that doesn't always happen. And people hurt more because they don't understand than anything. And it's one thing if you don't understand with me, but what about your little sister? Or your little brother? Boys cut too. I've met several. I've talked to several. Self-harm is just as big of a deal. Sometimes they don't cut. Sometimes they burn themselves. I was trying to explain to my friend last night. People burn themselves with lighters. What they do is they light it and they make it get really, really hot like that. They turn it sideways. And then they put it on their skin. It's called smiley facing. It's a big deal in high schools. And I saw lots of teenagers with smiley face burns and cigarette burns on them that they intentionally did. But they laughed about it because they were drunk and it's no big deal. Okay, that's a lie. You were self-harming. You didn't know it. You were using the pain to cope because a lot of kids were getting drunk because they had really crappy home lives or really crappy social lives, and it's all the same. The drinking, doing drugs, getting high, whatever it was, it's all the same. I don't understand how you can be so judgmental to me. It's because you're not willing to accept that about yourself, about others, about your little brother who burns himself or gets high all the time. Or they're all different coping mechanisms. They're not good coping mechanisms, but they're coping mechanisms. And I try really hard to explain to people that cutting was my drug. Dude, I missed it all the time. Whether I was sitting in the middle of class or had just got done, I missed it all the time. I craved it. I had to have it with me just in case, like, I couldn't handle a situation. Okay, I sound like a drug addict. If you didn't know I was a cutter, you would think I loved drugs. Cutting. It gave me my release. So why does that give you the right to tell me that it's a joke? Do you know how bad it got? Do you know how bad my cutting got? You know how a lot of, times whenever you see people doing drugs, in the beginning they're fine. Well, 2 or 3 years down the road, they're high all the time, can't hold a job, nothing like that. Do you know how bad mine got? Okay? I have this arm. It has lots of scars on it because I did the entire arm in one night, in one sitting. I needed that pain so bad, I sliced up my whole arm in one night. And I sliced up half of this one in one night. That's how bad it got. Don't tell me that, you can't understand, or that it's just something people do for attention. Do people do drugs for attention? Sometimes, to fit in with the right crowd. I'll give you that one. Like when you're a teenager in high school and all your friends are doing drugs, well, sometimes you feel like you need to do drugs too, but generally, no. And if you stay on those drugs, that's your choice. Nobody's making you. Don't make fun of something that you don't understand and haven't even attempted to try and figure out. Because that's insulting to me. That's insulting to another person. Because this is more wide than you think it is. This has been happening for years. Did you know in the Old Testament, when God said, don't tattoo yourselves, he was referring to Wiccans who would cut their skin in different designs, and he didn't want you to look like a Wiccan. This has been going on for centuries. Why can't we grasp it? And it's National Banned Book Week, and many books that I used to read to let me know that there were other people out there are banned. 13 Reasons Why is about a girl who who killed herself. She didn't attempt, she killed herself. And left these tapes behind explaining to people why. It's just another suicide letter in a book. Like, I don't understand. And while this book may be a big trigger for me, I'm not alone when I read it. I've been able to read it once since I quit cutting and not cut. I haven't attempted to read it more, but it describes so accurately what I'm going through, guys. Kids like me need books like this, and maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing for you to pick up one of these books too. I know that you'll make a joke out of it and be like, oh, well, this book is depressing me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, well, that's my daily life. I think you can handle about 5 minutes while you suffer through this book. It's just one of the most frustrating things in the world. And when people don't understand, like, that hurts. So, gain some knowledge and pick up a book. Read my posts, my blog, my videos. Do something. Educate yourself. You wouldn't go to, like, a big science convention when all these people are sitting there talking about chemistry and biology and the way blood flows through the heart, and you'd be sitting there like an idiot feeling like you're dumb. That's us looking at you right now. Because you haven't informed yourself, you just look dumb. So, take a minute. Educate yourself. Make sure others around you are educated. Do some research. We have the entire World Wide Web of Google. It'll take you about 10 seconds to Google and figure out information. Like, I don't understand the big deal around this, guys. Like, 10 seconds it'll take you to pull this up. It may take you a little bit longer to read it, but you know what? It doesn't take that long to read statistics. Just educate yourselves and stop the stigmas. Stigmas are just people who don't understand, so make yourself understand. Make yourself understand how much pain somebody has to be in to hold a own blade to their skin and cut their skin open. We cry whenever we're children and we fall off our bike and we scrape our knees. We cry when we stub our toes, our little pinky toes, on the corner of a staircase or of the table or the door, whatever you run into in the middle of the night when it's dark. But we laugh at people who cut themselves. I mean, when you're not expecting it, whenever you stub your toe in the middle of the dark night, you're trying really hard not to yell cuss words. How much pain do you think somebody has to be in to hold a blade to their skin and cut it open? Maybe you should find out. Maybe you should ask somebody. Maybe you should get off of your butt and figure out why before you start slandering us. You have no idea what it's like, and you haven't even made an effort to try. So keep watching, guys. I'm going to keep talking about stigmas. Also all over my blog and my Facebook page. Feel free to look it up there. Once we stop the stigmas, once we spread some awareness on mental illness and stuff, it's going to be a lot easier. And wouldn't you like to make it easier for your niece or nephew, or your kids, or your little brother or sister? Wouldn't it nice to be able to make that easier? So keep watching, guys, because there can be a brighter tomorrow, okay?